Okay, so I've been on a mission. I've tested pretty much every single free AI video generator out there to answer one simple question. Is it actually possible to create high-quality video without spending a dime? But, here's the thing. Most of these tools, they're not really free. They're more like free trials that dangle a cool feature in front of you, and then boom, they hit you with a paywall right when you try to download. So the real question we're digging into here is, can you actually get good results without ever pulling out your wallet? After sifting through a whole lot of noise, I managed to narrow it down to a handful of generators that are genuinely, completely free and usable. So, our quest today is to find the absolute best of the bunch. So, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to rank them. We'll start with the ones that are, just okay, and work our way up to the one that I would personally use if I had absolutely zero budget. First up is a generator you've probably never even heard of. It's called Vheer. But don't let its obscurity fool you. It has one of the most powerful features I have ever seen, and that includes some of the big paid tools. Now, its workflow is pretty unique. You gotta follow the steps. You start by making a still image with their text-to-image tool. And this is crucial. You have to pick the quality model to keep it free. Once you've got an image you like, you just download it. No sign up, no email, nothing, which is awesome. Then you pop over to the image to video side, upload your picture, and then you give it two separate prompts. One for what's happening, and another for how the camera should move. And right there, that is Vheer's killer feature. By separating the action from the camera movement, you're giving the AI crystal clear instructions. Most tools, even paid ones, they make you cram it all into one box, and the AI just gets confused. This one little separation, it's an absolute game changer for getting that smooth, clean camera motion you want. So, okay, the camera movement is fantastic, but what about the video itself? Well, it definitely has that AI look. It's kind of like a 3D render that's really, really trying to look real, but just can't quite stick the landing. It's actually perfect if you want to animate something like a static product shot, but for people, you're going to see some seriously weird morphing in the face. It's good, for sure, but it's not perfect. All right, let's move on to our next contender, Grok. Now, this is a much bigger name in the AI space, and it definitely brings some solid free features to the table. But it's got its own little quirks too. The absolute best thing about Grok is its workflow. As you're creating an image, it just keeps making more for you, automatically. You don't even have to ask. It's kind of like having this little creative partner just throwing ideas at you constantly, which can save you a ton of time when you're trying to find that perfect image to start with. Grok basically gives you two paths to choose from. You can start with an image you've made, which usually gives you more consistent, more predictable results. That's great for simple animations. Or you can go straight from a text prompt to video. This gives you way more creative freedom, but the AI might go off in some, weird directions. A little pro tip here, using styles like VHS or Studio Ghibli is a really smart way to hide some of the AI's flaws and make all that weirdness feel like it was on purpose. And that brings us to the winner, the generator that for me really comes out on top. If I absolutely had to pick one free tool to use for a project, it would be Meta AI, hands down. The whole process is built right into the Meta AI chatbot. You start by generating an image, but, and this is the key difference, you get these little aesthetic sliders. You can actually control things like variety and weirdness, which gives you a level of control that the other free tools just don't have. Once you've got your image, you can just hit the animate button or give it specific instructions on how to move. And that right there is why Meta AI takes the crown. The stylization setting is the secret sauce. It lets you dial down that super smooth, super artificial 3D render look that just screams AI generated. This is what gives you the power to create images that feel way more photorealistic, and that solves the biggest problem with almost every other free tool out there. So, let's just sum this all up real quick. Vheer's big strength is that separate camera control, but its weakness is that kind of fake 3D render look. Grok is amazing for spitting out endless variations, but it can really struggle with complex animations. And Meta AI, it wins on its aesthetic controls and realism, even though you still have to be a little careful with your prompts to avoid it looking fake. So, Meta AI is the best free option. Great, we're done, right? Well, not quite. Because while I was testing all of these tools, I kept running into the same fundamental problems over and over again. And this is the crucial point, really. Even with the best free generator on the market, you are going to hit a wall. And these aren't just small annoyances. We're talking about significant limitations that are just baked into the whole free tier experience. Let's break it down. First, the wait times are just painful. You're at the absolute back of the line behind every single paying customer, so a little 5-second clip can take 5, sometimes even 10 minutes to generate. Second, getting the AI to actually listen to you is a constant battle. It'll just ignore parts of your prompt, forcing you to try again and again, which wastes so much time. And finally, there's the quality itself. You're getting the older, less powerful AI models, which means you're just going to see more weird morphine and less polish overall. So that brings up the big question, right? Why? Why do all the free generators have these exact same issues? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is incredibly simple. I mean, it's a fair question. Why the long waits and weird results? It all just comes down to basic economics. Creating AI images and videos is extremely resource intensive, and those resources, they cost a lot of money. Think about it. Every single time you click that generate button, you are setting off a chain reaction of real-world costs. You're using up a ton of computing power, you're consuming electricity, and you're taking up expensive space on a server. And that's not even counting the millions and millions of dollars spent just to develop these AI models in the first place. So look, this isn't about companies being greedy. It's just the economic reality of the situation. If they're not charging you for the service, they have to cut corners somewhere, and that means you. You get lower priority in the queue, you get slower processing, and you get access to the older, less powerful models. It's as simple as that. So, where does that leave us? What's the final takeaway from this whole quest? What have we really learned about the state of free AI video generation today? The sober, honest-to-goodness truth is that a free AI generator that is truly on the same level as the paid versions, it just doesn't exist. And frankly, because of the massive costs we just talked about, it's very likely that it never will. That gap between free and paid is probably always going to be there. Which really just leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you to think about. For whatever project you're working on, is a good enough free video better than no video at all? The answer? Well, that's up to you.